Hi, and welcome to Ivy English. I'm Angela.
And I'm Wesley.
Today it is the 3rd of August. We're on page 9 of the magazine, and we're doing your absolutely 100% favorite thing to do with your morning.
Tests.
Vocabulary tests!
Even better.
Actually, to be honest, I kind of like these in a way.
Yeah?
Because I kind of like thinking about which word does what. I really kind of like knowing the subtle differences between words.
Mm-hmm.
Or even the big differences between words. I like comparing words. Mm-hmm. I'm a word nerd.
Yeah.
So vocabulary tests, but it's not fun when you're taking them for real. They're just more fun when you're taking them for fun.
Well, it's still fun. I think because this is like a mystery-solving process.
It kind of is,
You have clues in a question, and then you try to use those clues to find the correct answer.
Yeah. Okay, so with that in mind, let's do number 1. When it comes to snacks like chocolate chip cookies, Judy prefers soft and chewy ones to hard and ones. I don't know. I'm on team soft and chewy and hard and I like them both ways. But what kind of thing is... So we've got soft and chewy, and we've got hard and Soft and hard are opposite, so obviously the word we're looking for is an opposite of chewy. So is it lousy, which is bad? We don't want bad cookies. Is it crispy, which is... 脆的, I think, right?
Yeah, 酥脆的,
yes. Yeah, and then we've got dusty, which you don't want dusty cookies. That means they're either covered with dust or they've been crumbled to dust, either of which is bad. And muddy cookies. Muddy means it's covered with mud or it has the texture of mud, both of which are bad in a cookie. So obviously we want B, crispy. When it comes to snacks like chocolate chip cookies, Judy prefers soft and chewy ones to hard and crispy ones.
好，所以 when it comes to 就是当我们谈到 snacks 谈到零食的时候呢，什么样的零食呢？例如好，这个 chocolate chip cookies 就是巧克力脆片的饼干。好，所以我们讲到巧克力脆片饼干的时候呢，这个Judy 她是怎么样？她是 prefers 比较喜欢 soft 就是软啊 and chewy 有嚼劲 ones 就是指 snacks 或者是 cookies 啊，所以她喜欢这种有嚼劲又软的啊这样的这个饼干。那2就是比较不喜欢 hard 就是硬的。好，那还有什么样的饼干呢？那我们可以看到刚刚 Angel 老师讲说这个 soft and chewy soft 跟 hard 是相反，所以我们大概知道空格里面这个字应该跟 chewy 啊应该意思也是有一点相反的。好，那我们看看选项 A lousy 是很糟糕的，那显然不是。第二个 B 选项呢 crispy 酥脆的。好，那这个就对了，因为又硬又脆的饼干啊，相对于又软又有嚼劲的，所以这是正确答案。那 C dusty 是满是灰尘的， D muddy 是沾满泥巴的，都不对，我们选 B 啊 crispy。
Number 2, the company that sells outdoor blanks is going to promote its new camping products, including tents, sleeping bags, hiking boots, and backpacks. So this list of things, camping products, etc., is a list of outdoor somethings, outdoor blanks. What are they? Are they gear, jewelry, a panel, or hardware? Jewelry is obviously things you wear for decoration. A panel is something that's on a wall, but hardware and gear is a little bit harder to tell. But hardware is generally hard. It's not going to bend. And so it's usually meant for tools. It also means the physical parts of computers. So it has both meanings. It means all the tools that you use could use to make things, or it's the actual physical casing and wiring of a computer. But gear is what we use to talk about outdoor stuff, outdoor things that you need to go outdoors and play with. Gear is like hiking gear, camping gear, climbing gear. They're specific tools and 设备 for going out and playing or going out and doing something. You could have your work gear, for instance. Like if you're a nurse, your work gear would include your protective gear, your clipboard. I mean, I'm not a nurse. That was a bad choice. I don't know what the gear that a nurse needs, but nurses need lots of gear. I don't know if nurses would call it gear. Safest to say that anything to do with the outdoors is called gear. So obviously we need to choose gear. The company that sells outdoor gear is going to promote its new camping products, including tents, sleeping bags, hiking boots, and backpacks. I just realized why gear may have not been a choice for some of you, because a gear, a single gear, is something that is part of a machine. It's got teeth, it's round, and it goes ch-ch-ch inside of a clock. And that may have thrown some of you off, because gear, spelt this way, also can mean that.
好，所以呢，这个我们正确答案是 gear 哈，但是 gear 这个字很多人以为它是齿轮的意思啊，没有错，它可以数，它当可数名词的时候是齿轮哈，你可以讲 a gear， 但是 gear 有另外一个用法是当集合名词不可数啊，不加 s 的，这个时候它的意思就是从事某一种活动所需要的装备或者是用具啊，所以它可能是 supplies， 可能是 tools， 可能是 clothes， 好 needed for a special purpose， 那通常就是 outdoor 哈，那所以这一题我们看到他说这个公司哈，他卖的是 outdoor， 那我们就要选 gear。好，那各位要另外一个可以想到的地方就是这个 outdoor gear 其实是常见的一个 collocation 啊，这是常常看到的，就是户外活动所需要的装备，所以我们选 A。那这家公司呢 is going to 它将要 promote 宣传它的新的 camping products， 它的露营产品。包括帐篷、睡袋，好，这个登山靴，还有呢 backpacks， 它的背包，好，所以正确答案是 A。那 B 这个选项 jewelry 它也不可数，可是它是珠宝的意思。C panel 我们常常指专家专案小组，一个专家讨论小组叫一个 panel， 它也可以是个板的意思。好 ，D hardware 它是硬体，它也不可数。那通常我们想到相对的就是 software， 尤其是现在讲到 hardware， 大家很快联想到大概都是电脑的硬体，叫 hardware。And
number 3, these special forces soldiers have been trained to blank in with their surroundings, whether they are in a jungle, a desert, or a city. If you are special forces soldiers, you're meant to be both powerful and sneaky. So sneaky is the key thing here. I don't think our sentence is clear enough about how sneaky they're trying to talk about with the word that we have today, but our word means that you have to not be seen because you're being sneaky. So are we marching in? No, because if you march in, you're very obviously walking in. Do we have to pitch in, which means to contribute? Or do we have to blend in? Do we have to seem to be part of the background? Or do we have to yield? We don't actually use in with yield, so we can cross that one off right away and choose C, blend. These special forces soldiers have been trained to blend in with their surroundings, whether they are in a jungle, a desert, or a city.
好，所以这一些 special forces 就是特种部队，他们的军人，他们的士兵 soldiers have been trained， 他们被受训要干嘛呢？那我们要选的是 blend in with their surroundings。那事实上这也是很常见的一个 collocation 啊 ，blend in with their your 或者 someone's surroundings。那注意 surrounding 有加 s， 那 blend in 在这里的意思就是混入的意思啊 ，blend 或者 blend in 这个片语就是 to look like what is around you 啊，所以 to look。like you belong to a particular 或者 with a particular group， 这是 blend in 的意思，所以正确答案。然后呢，接下来讲说，无论他们是在丛林 jungle 还是 desert 沙漠还是都市当中，那我们看其他选项 A march 是游行或者行军，这个不对。那 B pitch 可以说是投球的意思。好，那这个 pitch in 啊，常常是表示这个你出一点力量哈 ，pitch in to help 啊，就是你出点力量，也许捐点钱去帮忙，所以在这里意思也不对。那第四个选项 yield 哈，那通常是屈服啊、屈从也不对，所以我们选 blend。
Number 4, David could blank hear the TV due to the noise from the construction site outside his apartment. Ah, the classic city complaint. So the construction sites are loud, and so therefore he could barely hear the TV. Which one of these words means barely? A, moderately is a kind of barely. He could moderately hear the TV. This could actually work. But I bet we have a better choice because you don't really talk about, I can moderately hear my television. That just sounds silly. Practically is kind of like 似乎, like you basically can, or you basically can do something. So in a way, I could see a non-native speaker also choosing this here. It's almost barely there. It's true you can do it, but it's not great. It's kind of on the same level as moderately. Like it seems to have the right meaning, but it doesn't actually. Then we have scarcely, and scarcely is our answer because scarcely means 几乎不, like you almost can't hear. You can hardly hear it. And so bitterly is how David feels about this situation. He's bitter about not being able to. He's bitterly angry about not being able to hear his TV. But the choice is C, scarcely. David could scarcely hear the TV due to the noise from the construction site outside his apartment.
OK， 所以 David 怎么样呢 ？Could 怎么样 hear 啊？那后面我们先看他怎么样听呢？这个听的是 the TV 啊，他的电视 due to 因为 the noise from the construction site 因为来自建筑工地的噪音啊 the construction site 就是建筑工地，那这个是在他的这个 apartment 的外面的。好，那这个地方我们看到选项第一个啊 A moderately 是适度啊，他可以适度地听到这个电视，好像可以通，可是这个跟外面的工地有什么关系呢？啊，因为有工地在有 noise， 所以你能适度的听到吗？这个显然不对，所以 A 不对。那 B practically 是 almost 的意思啊，他几乎可以 almost hear 啊，那意思他其实是听不太到啊，那这个也是因为建筑工地哈，所以 almost 意思好像讲得通啊，这个 practically 好像讲得通，但是事实上英文不太会说某人可以 practically hear 啊，很怪。那 C 呢 scarcely 就是 hardly 是几乎不，那这个就对了，因为事实上英文里面常常讲 could scarcely 或者 could hardly do something 就是几乎没有办法的意思，那因为外面很吵，所以他几乎听不到，所以这是最好的答案 C。 那 D bitterly 是痛苦的啊，那也不对，所以我们选 scarcely。I'm
going to say another thing the difference between moderately, practically, and scarcely is moderately and practically are kind of positive-leaning words.
Oh, yeah.
And scarcely is negative-leaning. And so we're talking about a negative situation. We definitely want the negative word.
好。那刚刚 Angela 讲说这个 moderately 跟 practically 它比较偏正向的啊，它是比较偏肯定的那个方向啊，所以这个地方应该是 scarcely， 因为 scarcely 是偏否定，它其实这个否定词，它偏否定方向，所以几乎听不到。正确答案就是 C scarcely。
Number 5. The country is in blank need of vaccines as an increasing number of citizens have become infected with the deadly virus. A sentence that hits too close to home.
Yeah.
So, an increasing number of citizens have become infected. So, the situation is getting bad. So, we're not just in need of vaccines. We don't actually need the blank. The sentence works just fine. But we want to give a sense of urgency. So, we want to find a word that means urgent for our blank. Or find out that urgent is exactly the word that we need for our blank. Somebody didn't look at the answers first. Yes, urgent is our answer because we are in urgent need. We're in dire need. I actually thought the word was going to be dire.
Yeah.
But anyways, so the other three are no good.
好，所以呢，我们可以看到啊，这个句子他说the country is 怎么样 is in 什么样的 need of vaccines， 就是它需要疫苗哈。as 是因为 an increasing number of 就是越来越多的 citizens， 他的这个国民呢 have become infected with 被感染了哈 to become infected with 被什么感染呢 the deadly virus 这个致命的病毒哈。那事实上这个句子我第一次读的时候我想到是 in dire need of something
because that's the most common collocation.
Yeah， 因为那是非常常见的一个 collocation， 就是急需什么什么东西。那个 dire 哈就是 D-I-R-E 好 dire 就是 very urgent 的意思哈。那可是我们看到答案里面好像没有这个答案，那没关系，我们看有没有其他的。那我们看 A organic 是有机的需要哈，这根本不知道什么意思。B elastic 是有弹性的灵活的flexible， 所以它很弹性的需要，这个英文不会这样讲，而且意思也很怪哈。然后呢，接下来 adequate 是充分的sufficient 的意思inadequate need of 你既然已经 adequate 就不会 need 了嘛，所以这个也很怪。那所以第四个答案我们看到 urgent， 这个就对了，因为它是急切紧急的意思，所以我们就选 urgent。
Number 6. Our company is looking for a sales and marketing executive with blank in mobile technology, consumer products, and social media. A classic sentence that you would find in any kind of advertisement for looking for someone to fill a position. So someone is a sales and marketing exec, and they have to have all sorts of modern skills. What kind of modern skills? What do they need in mobile technology, etc.? Do they need expertise, someone who's good at these things? Do they need outcome? I don't think you could say with outcome in. That doesn't make any sense at all. Liability, normally you would put an in front of it. With a liability in mobile technology is hilarious because if you've got a liability, it means that you're a problem or that you have a problem. So no. And then fluency. Fluency means you're good at speaking. And you could actually use it here if you're going to get poetic. You could say with fluency in, but you wouldn't say mobile technology. You'd be saying something with fluency in mobile social media language or something like that. Fluency is really about language or expression, and so we couldn't talk about it for technology or products. We could talk about it for social media. But all in all, of the four choices, expertise is the much better one.
好，所以看到这个题目，他说我们的公司呢 is looking for 正在找 a sales 一个这个a sales and marketing executive 就是销售跟行销的这个主管。好，那这里要注意这个 sales and marketing 都是修饰那个 executive 就行销主管。那他要什么样呢 ？with 我们选答案 A expertise， 因为这是专业知识with expertise in 就在这方面他有专业知识，他有专业能力。哪方面呢？这个 mobile technology 行动科技 ，consumer products 就是消费性产品，还有呢 social media 这个社群媒体。好，所以我们要选的答案是 A。那 B outcome 就是 result 后果英文不会有这种 with outcome in 不会，应该是不会有这种说法意思也不对。那 liability 是法律上的责任那所以也不对。那 fluency 是流利，放在这个句子也意思不对，所以我们选expertise。
Number 7, this is a very sort of cliche sentence, so that means it should be pretty easy to do. It was reported that the hostage was cruelly blank and killed after he was kidnapped by the terrorists. There's only one thing that terrorists do to hostage classically, and that is hostages, is that they torture and kill them. Especially cruelly here makes us sure that something that happened to him was terrible. Although it's very tempting to put D flattered in there. He was cruelly flattered. No, the answer is C. It was reported that the hostage was cruelly tortured and killed after he was kidnapped by the terrorists.
好 ，it was reported that 就是据报道这个人质呢 was cruelly 很这个残酷的怎么样呢？那当然又是恐怖分又是人质，又是被残酷的，那就被残酷的折磨。所以我们要选的是 C tortured。好，那 and killed 折磨之后又杀害了。After he was kidnapped by the terrorists。好，那他是被 terrorists 绑架之后呢，就被这个杀害了，被折磨。所以答案是 C。那 A 这个选项 specified 是明确的指出放在这个 context 完全没有意思不知道什么意思。B cautioned 他被 cruelly cautioned 你caution 就是警告，那怎么样残酷的警告？那英文其实也不会这样讲，我们也很难想象，所以这个也不对。D flattered 是奉承讨好他被 cruelly flattered 他是人质，不可能被奉承被讨好，所以都不对，我们选 tortured。
Number 8, politicians should use public money only for blank purposes. In other words, they shouldn't use it for their own benefit. Again, something that everyone knows. What kind of purposes? Obviously, appropriate purposes, because inappropriate use would be using it for their own benefit. So which word here means something like appropriate? We've got supreme, pathetic, considerate, and legitimate. Choose legitimate, because considerate is about people's feelings, pathetic is about a judgment of somebody's inadequacy, and supreme is like the best of the best. So only D works. Politicians should use public money only for legitimate purposes. In other words, they shouldn't use it for their own benefit.
好，所以政治人物呢，应该要使用 public money， 就是公款，公家的钱 ，only for 只能用在什么样的 purposes， 什么样的用途上呢？答案 D legitimate 就是要在合法的用途上面，所以公款一定要用在合法的用途上。In other words， 换句话说 ，they shouldn't， 他们不应该 use it， 就是 public money for their own benefit。那 use it for their own benefit 就是我们中文讲的用来为自己谋利为了谋求自己的利益来使用，那就不对了。好，那我们看看其他选项。A supreme supreme 就是 greatest in power 或者是 greatest 就是 greatest 那最棒最棒的，所以不是我们要的答案B 选项呢 pathetic 是可悲的、可怜的、悲惨的那也通常也不用来形容也有可能的，但在这里呢用钱没有什么可悲的目的的所以这个也不对。那 C considerate 就是 thoughtful 体贴的那你说用来体贴的目的，可是这样子跟后面的 in other words 就不相通了，因为 in other words 其实解释前面这句话了，所以前面这句话说这个只能用在这个合法的用途，那换句话说不能用来为自己谋利，这样子的话这个句子才能顺所以我们要选的是 legitimate。
Number 9, Miss Douglas was puzzled about Susan's blank for dropping out of school because she performed pretty well in her class. If you're puzzled about something, it means you don't understand the reasons why. And so she doesn't understand Susan's reasons for dropping out of school. Which one of our words means reasons? Fatigue means being tired. Motive means the reason for doing something. So ding, 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 we have a winner. Regime means the people in power in a country. And pledge means a promise. So choose B, motive. Miss Douglas was puzzled about Susan's motive for dropping out of school because she performed pretty well in her class.
好，那我们看到这个 Mrs. Douglas was puzzled about 就对什么事情感到困惑。她对什么感到困惑呢？对于 Susan's 她的什么东西 for dropping out of school 就是辍学啊，所以她辍学应该是大概是有个原因吧，所以她就觉得很怀疑这个想不透。那为什么呢 ？Because she performed pretty well 就是指这个 Susan 她表现得还不错，叫做 performed pretty well in her class。她在班上表现还不错，英文就是这样讲 ，she performed pretty well in her class. 好，那所以我们要选什么字呢？我们看 A 这个选项 fatigue 是疲劳啊，那显然他的疲劳 for dropping out of school 啊，你辍学不会很累，你辍学办一办就好，不会疲劳，所以答案 A 不对。B motive 啊，这个就对了啊，因为这个字就是一个动机啊，通常是指隐藏的动机哈，跟它相似的一个是叫 incentive 哈 ，incentive 啊，这类似的字当然有一点点不同啊，但是 motive 就是动机，所以对于他辍学动机感到困惑，所以这是正确答案。那 C 这个选项呢 ，regime 是政体或者是政权哈，尤其通常是指比较专制一点的政权才会用到 regime 这个字，好，所以放在这里也不对。D。Pledge 是发誓或者誓言，放在这里也意思不对，所以我们选 motive.
Number 10, Steve is a very honest person and never blanks anyone. If he makes a mistake, he will immediately admit that he messed up. I just can't resist turning the blank into a verb form. Anyways, there's some kind of verb happening here. But I don't know what it could be. I mean, it might be that he never hurts anyone, he never lies to anyone, he never messes up. I'm not really sure. But it says if he makes a mistake, he will admit that he messed up. So maybe it's about admitting something or being honest. So we have our choice of worships. If you worship someone, you're like, oh, you're the best. I kiss the ground at your feet. A nice thought. Shatters anyone. If you shatter something, you break it into pieces. And it's also very kind of forceful and violent. Like if you threw a mug onto the ground, it would shatter on the tile. Condemns means you talk about how terrible they are. It literally means to sentence someone for a crime or to death. Usually you hear someone has been condemned to death, right? And so you could say he never condemns anyone. This could work in here, but since the rest of the stuff is about honesty, I'm not sure that's our best choice. And then the last one is deceives. Here we go. Because if you deceive somebody, you lie to them. And so, since we're talking about honesty in our sentence, then D is our choice. Steve is a very honest person and never deceives anyone. If he makes a mistake, he will immediately admit that he messed up.
好，所以 Steve 他是很诚实的一个人，那他从来不会怎么样 anyone。好，那后面那一句他说 if he makes a mistake， 他如果犯错的话 he will immediately 很立刻就会 admit 就会承认 that he messed up， 他弄砸了哈 ，messed up 就是弄砸了，就是 make a mistake 哈，通常是因为紧张啊，或者是 confusion 哈，搞不清楚状况弄砸了啊，所以我们看我们选项 A worship 是崇拜或者敬拜啊，你会崇拜或敬拜上帝或者是神啊，那所以这不是我们要的答案。B shatters 就是粉碎哈 ，to cause to break into pieces， 这也不是我们要的答案。Condemns 是谴责或者是指责 to express strong disapproval of 通常是跟 moral 有关系的，或者是跟你的 judgment 有关这不对这不对你就谴责他，这 condemns 那放在这里也不对不是我们要的字。那 D deceives 这是正确答案，因为 deceive 是欺骗的意思to cause to believe what is not true 尤其是你会这个 deceive 还表示 to mislead by deliberate misrepresentation或者是 lies， 你故意讲的不是跟事实不一样的东西，或者是撒谎，然后让对方这个误导对方，这叫 deceive。所以这是我们正确答案，因为你如果很诚实，就不会 deceive anyone。
Well, that is all the vocabulary fun we have for you today, but please join us again tomorrow for more English fun. Until then, bye-bye.